Hello everybody, this is Kay and welcome to Junking with Gigi. In the previous 3 videos in this series on what to do with all that brown paper, I made some paper bags in the first video. The second video, we made some clusters using the brown paper as our base or our background. And in the last video, we made some pockets with using some of our brown paper. In today's video, we're going to make envelopes. So let me clear my desk off and get my supplies ready and we'll have at it. A few months ago, I acquired this envelope punch board from Amazon. It's made by We Are Memory Keepers. And this is a handy little tool for making envelopes. I'm going to show you how it works, but I did want to mention that even though it's handy, it does have its limitations. You have to start out with a square piece of paper, and I don't know if this is going to focus or not, but it gives you a chart here of what paper size you need to start out with to make your envelope, according to whatever your card size is that's going to go inside of it. So although it's handy and really nifty, it does have its limits because sometimes you might have a different shaped piece of paper or cardstock or magazine image that you want to make an envelope out of without having to cut it down to a perfect square. So this is one that I've already made with this envelope punch board. This is an envelope made for, I think, a 5x4 card. So it's going to be slightly larger than, it's probably about 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch larger. That's how the little punch board is set up to make your envelope just slightly larger than the card size so it fits in there easily. This is one that I already made. I decorated it this way because I wanted to show you how these can be used in a journal and how I intend to use this in a journal. So here's a signature from a journal I'm currently working on, and I just wanted to use this to show you how one of these envelopes can be used in a journal. I won't be able to use this one in this particular journal because it's going to be a little too wide, but this is how I like to use envelopes in journals a lot. So I decorated it sideways so I could put this over the edge of a page. And what I'll do is I'll adhere this side down, I'll glue this side down, and then this side is like a flip up, and you can tuck things in the pocket there, and you can have something underneath it as well. Okay, so for this envelope that I'm going to make here, I have an 8x8 inch square of brown paper. And according to the chart, this is going to make a 3.5 by 6 inch envelope. So the way you use this thing, and it comes also with a little scoring tool here on the side. So the way you use this is you look to the score line, which is this third column, and by the 8x8 it says 3 1/8. So that tells me my first punch and score is going to line up with 3 1/8 on this little ruler over here. It doesn't matter what side of your paper you start with, but you want to line it up with 3 1/8. And that's where you're going to make your first punch, which is this button right here, and score line, which you use your tool for, and you just score along that groove. I forgot to show you that. There's a little scoring groove right there. So that's your first punch and score. And then what you do is you rotate it 1 turn counterclockwise. And that's the only time you'll use your ruler. From here on out, what you're going to do is line up your little score line with that little notch that's sticking out right there. And punch threw it at me. And score. Okay, rotate it one more time, line up the score line, punch, and score. Line it up with the score line, punch, and score. And then on the very back of this, there's a little reverse punch, which you can use to round whichever flap is going to be the top flap of your envelope. So I'm going to put that in there and punch. And it kind of rounded that out, kind of chewed it a little actually. It might be because of the kind of paper this is. Anyway, that's how you use that board. So let me put that aside. And then you fold your envelope up. So first you fold your sides in. Then the bottom up. Now what I like to do, because I don't like this point going way high like this, is I'll take this and fold it over and just kind of eyeball it, trying to get it even. And fold it over to the inside. I think that just gives it a little bit more of a finished look, and you don't have that point sticking up in the middle there. Oops, I think I got off my score line there. Okay, so, and then what we're gonna do is simply glue these edges along here to close up our envelope. But before I do that, I want to ink around all the edges because I like that look that the inking gives. And I'm going to use my Ground Espresso Distress Oxide. All right, so I've got all those edges inked up, and now I'm going to glue this all down. First, what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to glue this little flap down that I folded over. Okay, and then when you do glue this down, you have to make sure you kind of take note of where you need to stop your glue line, because if you go in further, it's going to glue the envelope shut. So for this one, I'm just going to take it from the bottom to just before that little point there on either side. Okay, and there we have envelope number 1, which this one turned out to be a little bit of a different size than the other one I had made. For this one, I started out with a 9x9 square of brown paper. The second little envelope I'm going to make today is a coin envelope. Now this is very similarly made as to the bags that I made in the very first video of this series on what to do with all that brown paper, but I added a little something extra to it in the form of this little brad with this enclosure here that wraps around and holds your flap shut. So that makes it a little bit different in that respect. Now, I call it a coin envelope. I actually think a coin envelope an official coin envelope is 2¼ by 3½, and this is a little bit bigger than that. This one is this is 2½ by 4. So it's not the official size of a coin envelope, but it doesn't have to be. We can make them whatever size we want to, right? Okay, so I'm going to make one of those, and I've already got the paper ready here for it. Now this brown paper that I'm using for this was really thin. I'll show you a piece. It is what I used to make those paper bags with in the very first video, and you can see and probably hear how very thin it is. And I wanted to make it a little bit more robust, so I doubled it up and glued it together so I have a little bit thicker of a piece. And I'm going to make this in the same type of way that I made the paper bags. I'm going to fold one side over about 1/3 of the way. This one's going to be a little bit bigger. And then this side over to about halfway. And fold it. I'm going to line it up here at the bottom, and I'm just going to put a little pencil mark right along here. Okay. And I'm going to just cut a small triangle, skinny little triangle out of each side going up to that pencil mark. Try and make them about the same. Okay, I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to cut out these 2 side pieces, just so that when I fold it all up, I don't have as much bulk at that fold. Alright, so I'm going to fold those back over. I'm going to fold this up and over. And then glue all this in place. And here's another thing, if you wanted to ink before you glue everything, now's the time to do that. Okay, now I'm going to go to my top flap, and I'm going to leave, I think I'm going to leave a little bit bigger of a flap on this one than I did on my tiny envelope, because I barely had enough room to put my little brad and closure in there. So I'm going to measure a whole inch. I think I did a ½ inch on that tiny envelope, and it worked, but it was just barely enough to make it work. So put a pencil line there. Cut out my little triangle again, going all the way to that pencil mark on either side. Okay. And I'm going to take off this top flap. Okay. Fold that top flap over. Ink up those edges real quick. I'm going to ink ink that fold too. I like that look too when it's inked on the folds. I think I forgot to do my sides here too. Might as well get everything from this side too. And now for the little brad closure, I'm going to take my tiny little hole punch, eyeball it, and just kind of get it about in the center. I'm going to get some string. This is just some kind of skinny nylon string I had on hand, and go a little bit more than 2 lengths, I think is what I did on the other one. And then take my brad. And these I wanted to show you are tiny, well, they're called long fasteners from Tim Holtz. And let's see, this is a little bit fiddly, so I'll probably speed this up so it's not quite so tedious to watch. And there we have envelope number 2. For the final envelope I'm going to make today, I'm going to use this paper, which was actually a paper bag from HelloFresh Meal. My husband and I order HelloFresh meals every once in a while. And this is probably the quickest way to make an envelope. And like I said, with this type of envelope, you can make it from any size shape of paper. You don't have to start out with a perfect square like you did on the with that envelope punch board. So I'm just going to tear off kind of a rectangular piece of this paper bag. And the way you do this is you just fold the bottom up, about right there, and then the top flap over. You want to leave a little bit of a gap though between the top. This is going to be like the top pocket of your envelope, so you want to leave a little bit of space between this fold and the top of your envelope. And now what you can do is you can glue down this side, and you have your envelope. I think what I'm going to do here though, to make my edge up here a little bit more robust, is fold this under just a little bit, an inch or so. And I'm going to glue that down, that flap. You can see it's still all kind of wrinkly and folded from, because it was a paper bag at one point. Glue down that edge. And then this is going to be your envelope. And what you can do is you can just glue these 2 edges. What I like to do often is take it to my sewing machine. And I like to just sew all the way around. I'm going to go do that off camera here real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I stitched all around these 3 sides. I decided to switch it up across the top here and do a little bit of a decorative stitch on my sewing machine. And so here is envelope number 3. I will decorate this a little bit more and cover up this writing that's on here, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that in this video. I feel like this video is already getting pretty long. Okay, so I'm going to end today's video here. We made some really fun envelopes today. We made some kind of traditional style envelopes with the envelope punch board. We made these really cute little coin envelopes with the little string closures. We did the, shall we call them, freestyle type of envelope that you can use any shape of brown paper or any paper for that matter to make and decorate as you wish. And I thank you so much for watching today. I hope you got some inspiration and ideas for your own creative adventures. Have a wonderful day and God bless.